Okay, we're back. Sorry about my dog barking. After we get the primary colors done, we are going to label all of these so that way when you mix your colors that they go in the right spaces. There's obviously so many areas that need to be painted in this color wheel that you are going to need to know where everything belongs. Okay, so I'm using the corner of my brush again just to get into some of those smaller areas. Okay, next step then is to clean my brush before I add blue. Now your primary colors are colors that cannot be made by man. So they are colors that are found in nature. Every color derives from these three colors that we are about to have down on our color wheel. When we go to mix all these colors in the color wheel, known as our hues, they are going to all come from our three primary colors that we're starting with. So now I'm going to skip 3 circles and I'm going to do this 4th one here. It's going to be blue. Ooh, I went a little bit out. Also for this activity, you may need to work in a space where you can sprawl out or rotate your paper. I've noticed that there's been a lot of students sitting all at 1 table or 2 tables. That's not going to work well for this unit. This unit is going to be a little bit more like you working at your own pace. And so we might be working on different projects all the time. And that is going to require you to have your own personal space. Okay, so before we get too far, I'm going to pause on the painting. And I'm going to put red at the top up here, yellow, and blue. Okay. Now, when we mix red and yellow, we are going to get orange. Orange does not belong in this space, nor does it belong in this space, but it belongs here. When we mix orange and red, we get red-orange. And when we mix orange and yellow, we get more of a yellow-orange. When we mix yellow and blue, you will get green. When you mix green and yellow, you will get a light green known as yellow-green. When you mix green and blue, you will get a deep turquoise or deep blue-green. When you mix blue and red, you will get violet. When you mix blue and violet together, you will get more of like a blue-violet. And then when you mix red and violet together, you will get a color that looks like maroon, but in the art world, we label that as red-violet. Now, this is a good time for me to pause and just remind you to look at our chandelier. We've included all of these colors. We just were not mindful of it. We used red bottles. We created some bottles that were mixed with red and orange, and we got a red-orange color. We had orange. We had some that were a lot of yellow and a tiny bit of orange, creating yellow-orange. We did lots of yellow bottles. A lot of students wanted to do yellow-green bottles by mixing the yellow and the green. We did do green bottles. We had blue-green, blue. Blue-violet is when we took that really dark blue and mixed it with a tiny bit of red. We had normal violet when we did equal amount of blue and an equal amount of red. And then we ended our chandelier with red-violet when we did a tiny amount of blue and a large amount of red and created like a maroon color that went in this space. So you have done this before. You do have some experience with mixing colors, but now we're just going to prove it by putting it on paper. So now that I have my diagram labeled, my brush is still, there we go. My brush is still with blue paint on it, so I'm going to start over in this section. So when I go to mix colors, let's say I'm going to mix my violet to start. I'm going to scoop up some blue, put it in an empty space, scoop up some red, and mix it. And I might need to test it on a scrap piece of paper to see if this is the right color. Okay, I believe I have the right color, so I'm going to go ahead and fill this violet space with the color that I created. On this video, it might look black when I bring this in person, so you can kind of check your own value scale. This is going to be a deep purple. So I'm working slowly to keep my color in these circles. When I mixed this, I scooped up small amounts of paint on my brush instead of mixing both of my globs of paint together to make this color. You want to make sure you just scoop up little bits and mix it in a new area, because you still need to use the red, you still need to use the blue, and I'm not going to be handing out a ton of paint, so small amounts at a time, okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and do my blue-violet. So I'm going to take this violet I made, take a little bit more blue on my brush, and in a new space, I'm going to mix these two. So I might need a little bit of red over here. This should be more of a indigo color or a deep, deep blue with a purple tint to it. I wish that I could show you better the difference in these colors right now on the screen. This is only slightly more blue than this one, okay? Again, I'll bring this color wheel to class, or you can look at a color wheel online and see how these colors compare to that of an image that's already made online. Working extremely hard to stay within the lines, and I know I'm not doing the best job at that. Okay, so I got my blue violet done. Now I need to do my red violet, so I'm aiming to get a maroon color. So I'm going to scoop up some red, move it over here, mix it with the paint that is already on my brush, and I'm actually getting a perfect maroon color. Sometimes you may have to go back into the areas or the colors that you already made and pull some over to your red stack, but I think that this is a perfect maroon. I'm going to fill this space. So this is a violet, but with more of a red tint to it. So using